world confusing, congested? Are you just trying to find your way? There must be a light at the end of this tunnel. Well, there's a way to find your calling, to find that job you want and deserve, when someone will come up to you and say, "You're hired." Hi, I'm Steve Piazzale, a career life coach, and welcome to You're Hired, a show about jobs and careers in which we answer questions such as, how do I find work that makes me come alive? How do I get that job I want and deserve? How do I find out about careers in architecture, medicine, being a university professor? Well, we answer those questions and many more on this show, and we have a lively guest that will help us today. But before I introduce him, I'd like to invite you to check out my website, where we recently added the 12 keys to getting a great job. That's at www.bayareacareercoach.com. It's chock full of information about jobs and careers. Again, it's www.bayareacareercoach.com. Well, I'm really pleased to have on the show today Dr. John Krumboltz, who is a university professor at Stanford in psychology and education and author of the book Luck is No Accident, which tells us about how we can generate our own good luck. And Dr. Krumboltz is here to talk to us about this. He has been decorated in so many ways, I can't possibly list them all. Guggenheim Fellowship, he's listed in Who's Who. He's been inducted into Association Halls of Fame. What else is there? Living Legend, and he's still alive. Welcome to the show, John.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Steve.
So I thought we'd start with you telling us the work you do as lecturer, professor, and the route you took to getting here.
Oh boy. Well, what I do now is I teach courses at Stanford. I teach a course on mediation for dispute resolution. I teach courses in counseling. And I go to faculty meetings, and I have all kinds of little administrative chores that I have to do. And I do research, and I write books and articles, and I give speeches, and I sometimes even get involved in training my fellow professionals in the field of counseling.
And how about the path you took to get here? Or at least a little bit of the path. I know it's a long.
My story is just one unplanned event after another. Hard to know where to begin, but you know, just for example, the reason that I got to be in psychology is because I had learned to play tennis, and when I went to Coe College in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, the tennis coach happened to be a professor of psychology. And when it came time for me to declare a major, I didn't know what to major in, and the only person I could talk to was my tennis coach, because the rest of the faculty had me intimidated, because they were all so smart. They were professors, and they were so brilliant that I couldn't ever talk to them. So I went to the coach, and I said, "Coach, what do you think I should major in?" And at this time, I only had about half an hour to make up my mind. and he said, "Psychology, of course." So I dashed over to the registrar's office, and I wrote psychology on a card, and I turned it in. And that's how I became a psychologist.
So why did he say psychology, of course?
Because he was a psychologist. He was professor of psychology and also tennis coach. A small school, you see. It was just happenstance, just luck, you see. But I never knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. Never knew, and I still don't. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. But,
that's a fascinating story, and I know you have a much longer version of it.
I do.
Some of the challenges and rewards in being a teacher, a lecturer, if somebody was thinking of following this path, whether it was in psychology or not, what might they face that, what gets you up in the morning and you enjoy it, and the things you kind of just wish would, go away?
Well, we have a little bit of a videotape showing me, sort of answering that very question about what is it that, what would you say to somebody who was thinking about going into being a counselor, for example?
Can you verbalize just a bit of it, and then we'll go to the clip?
Well, sure. I mean, the question always is, what kind of people make good counselors? Well, see, it depends on what style of counseling you do. See, now, my particular approach is what's called a cognitive behavioral approach. It's a fancy word, but it basically means a learning approach. You help people learn to think differently, learn to act differently, and learn to feel differently. Mm-hmm. And so the whole thing is about learning. And so the big question is, how do you train people to do counseling so that they help people learn? See, but not everybody does it that way. Mm-hmm. You know, there's some people that sort of go into the mumbo-jumbo kind of thing. You know, and they have somebody lie on a couch, and they get back of the person with a notepad and maybe go to sleep or something, and the person has to free associate indefinitely.
This is, okay.
It's sort of a psychoanalytic approach.
Uh-huh.
And that's just the opposite of what my approach is.
Yeah, and it's such a temptation. I've heard this from, you know, I'm a coach, and I've heard other people say, it's such a temptation to want to rush in and solve their problem, but you want it to unfold where they learn themselves, right? You don't want to jump in and say, here's the answer, you know.
Well, it depends, though. See, it depends on what the problem is and how amenable they might be to some kind of other intervention. And I'm going to show you another clip if we get to it.
Okay, we'll get to the clip now. So should we go ahead and roll the first clip? And, and what is this again? What do we?
Well, it's what kind of a person would you advise goes into counseling? This is
okay. Can we roll that clip, please?
I see a big future. Interesting question, Diane. I guess I want to say, do you want to be a guru? Do you want to be seen as omniscient, somewhat mysterious, sort of like the Wizard of Oz, sort of manipulating things behind the scenes and projecting this big image of omniscience? If that's what you want, then you better go somewhere else, because cognitive behavioral approach, the learning approach, is not mysterious. It is very sensible. It's very down to earth. There's no mumbo-jumbo to it. You're helping people learn. You're a coach. You're a mentor. You're an educator. If you don't like that view of it, well, why don't you go into something where there's more mumbo-jumbo? You can read Rorschach cards or tea leaves. So I'd say that'd be a way of sort of screening out people that want to be the omniscient guru. But then I say, well, they might say, well, what kind of people do you want? Well, I'd say, are you interested in helping people prevent problems from occurring?